so I'm not like on my channel, I don't want to have like my face super out there yet.
Okay.
So I was wondering like if it would be possible to do like a face to face or edit my face out, or I could do some crochet stuff and like move the camera down below my face.
What's going on, everybody? It's me, Supa Dave, and we are back on Milltown's Best. These interviews are going really well for me, and I love throwing a spotlight on people in the community who, may have been orbiters for a while or have always wanted to be a content creator, and now they're just starting to dip their toes in the water. There is nothing better to see than somebody who's really trying to take this community and make changes, and that's who we're going to be talking to today. We're going to be talking to Valid Creations. Now, you're going to say, Valid Creations, that name sounds familiar. That's because she did a video on me, believe it or not, and I was just so thoroughly impressed by Eli's video. I actually asked her to do an interview, and now she doesn't like really showing her face. She's not really quite comfortable to that point yet. Well, maybe not comfortable is not the right word, but we'll get to that. So we got Eli right now with us, and Eli, thank you first of all for taking the time to do this interview with me. I know I'm not that big of a channel, so when I saw that you did a video on me, and this was your first video, I was very taken aback by that. Do you mind if I ask you what made you want to speak about the whole situation that went on between me and Xylee?
Well, interestingly enough, I was actually working on a different video. I was going to do a video called The Downfall of the Commentary Community, where I was going to be touching on points like how a lot of the like live streams recently aren't as like not rehearsed, but they're not as well like researched or presented as they used to be. And I was going to cover a bunch of different creators and kind of how they used to have more polished live streams and more polished content, how it's kind of gotten a little bit of a decline
A little
recently and, like,
sloppy.
why. Yeah, and then I was doing a bunch of research for that. It was taking me weeks, and I was like, "Mm." And it wasn't really something I was super interested in yet because I wanted to get more personal with things and wanna have something that really, like, sparks to cover, and I saw what happened with you and Xylee because I'd been watching a little bit of Xylee,
Yeah.
and I just couldn't believe how you were treated and, like, the way that they would treat somebody that's new to the community or newer.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you have a decent amount of subscribers for a new channel,
Yeah.
but you are semi not small, but you're getting there.
I'm
So I
slowly
saw
growing.
that yeah, the way that they were talking to you like you were just some nobody was wrong, and I was talking to some of my friends about it, and I was getting really passionate about it, and I was like, "You know what? This would be a really good first thing to cover." So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be starting out. He's starting out. I really like care about what happened to him, and I think that this is horrible. So I have to call it out and be like, hey, can you be better? Can you do better? Because a lot of this is like cancel culture, right? And I don't want to
Very
cancel
much so.
anybody. I just kind of want to bring light to the issues and be like, hey, here's what's problematic. Is there a way that we can improve on this?
Yeah, and it's funny
So yeah.
because I've mentioned that you've been like basically, I don't want to say orbiter because I think there's like a negative connotation on that word, but you've been following the commentary community. Your Discord's been around since 2018. So, I imagine you've been seeing, your fair share of commentary YouTubers. So, have you always wanted to be a content creator? And when you started making videos, what finally was that tipping point that said, I'm going to do this?
Honestly, I think that at first I didn't want to be a commentator. I wanted to kind of just watch and interact with the community. But recently, I kinda had a thing where in, like, 2018 to 2020, I was very active, I loved watching the commentary community, and then I was gone for a little bit, for I think 2 years, and I came back. And when I came back, I kinda noticed that a lot of the content had been kinda, like, recycled, and everyone was covering the same things every week, so, like, on Monday, like, let's say Xylee covers one topic. Tuesday, Boblax covers the same topic. And on Friday, we get a refresher of Augie covering the same topic.
Yeah, I totally
Um,
agree.
and it just got kind of boring for me. And I saw that there weren't a lot of new voices and a lot of new topics. So I was like, hey, maybe I could like do a bunch of research, see like things that nobody's talking about that maybe should be talked about, and I can just bring like a fresh perspective.
and you really did. That first video you put out is amazing. It did very well for the commentary community. Yeah, the views aren't huge in our community, but they're growing. You always got to start somewhere. But your video hit home. I mean, you were right out the gate gaining subscribers. The traction was getting there. And, I think that is because, you've spent so much time and you really give off, your personality comes through in your videos. Even though you're not showing your face, you're really showing your personality, and it even comes through your crocheting. Now I notice, you heard I'm very much obsessed with this crocheting. So if you don't mind, I would kind of like to see, you in action, if you don't, so to speak.
Yeah,
I'm a
I can do
perv
it.
for this kind of thing. I love the crochet.
It's kinda like the ASMR, but it's, like, visual.
Totally, I totally agree. And I think nobody in this commentary community, we've had the art commentators, we've had everything, but there's really never been a crocheting commentator. I think,
No.
is have you followed anybody on YouTube, or is this like a niche you're trying to dig out for yourself?
This is a niche that I'm digging out for myself because there's a crochet side of YouTube,
Okay.
but it's very much like, "Hey, come crochet with me. Here's a handbag, here's a purse, here's a shirt," etc.
Hmm.
Or they're not talking about, like, internet goings on, they're just mainly talking like, "Oh, I got some new plants today, and here's, like, what I'm making," and it's very relaxing, don't get me wrong,
Very
but I
much so.
kind of saw an opportunity to be like, "Hey, I can use something I'm passionate about doing and talk about things I'm interested in, this seems cool."
Yeah, it's awesome. And now I made the video reacting to your video, and there are some people in the commentary community who would say I glommed onto your video. I apologize if you feel that way. I was just so impressed by your video. I didn't want to siphon any views away from you. I truly apologize. You know how people in the commentary community love talking, and that was kind of the word that was going on there for a second. So I apologize for that. But I was just
I
so thoroughly impressed with your work. It's so amazing. So if you don't mind, can we go to the little bit of the nerdy technical stuff, like what you're using to edit? Are you a fan of Adobe? Where do you see the channel going?
Um, so for editing, because I think that's the first thing that I picked up on, I actually use a program called Clipchamp
Really?
that
See,
I
I
have
would have
installed on
never
my lap.
guessed.
Yeah, I have an HP laptop, and it's not
Okay.
really made for, like, gaming or, editing, etcetera, it's more of a work computer. Um, but there's a pre-installed program called Clipchamp, and I can't really afford to do the whole, like, Adobe
No, yeah, yeah.
Premiere
But it
that I
just
heard
goes to
was the best.
show. It just goes to show, though, that if you have your mind set on something, the tools that are out there that are free to anyone can use these tools. You can make a high quality video like Eli did. Now, I also in that video that I did reacting, I kind of messed up with pronouns. Eli, you are known with the they them pronoun, and I as opposed to she, which is what I kind of called you throughout the entire video, which made me feel like a putz. So again, apologies for that. So do you mind explaining a little bit about this whole pronoun preference you have?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, I'm totally okay to cover that. So, originally, I wasn't going to have my pronouns associated with my YouTube channel,
Oh, okay.
um, because to me, like, I'm Eli, I'm a person, I don't really identify with, like, the female gender or the male gender, I just kind of exist,
Hey, that's
and
cool
I
though.
know Thank you. And I know that the commentary community is very touchy sometimes in certain aspects because there's like different sectors of the commentary community.
So true.
And I definitely know that there are those that would be very critical of somebody using like they, them pronouns, etc. Um, Personally, I don't want to say I've never cared. I do prefer they, them pronouns, but people mess up. People sometimes just can't get the hang of it. It's a hard concept for a lot of
I'm really
people.
trying to grasp onto it myself. I've never,
Yeah.
I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Midwestern boy. So it's like everything. I'm trying to get with the program here, and it's like sometimes getting it through my thick skull gets a little hard. But I'm trying. I'm trying.
That's all anyone can ask, really, and, like, I also lived in Wisconsin,
Okay.
interesting fact, for about a year. But, yeah, it's hard to describe because I know a lot of people are very passionate about their pronouns and about their gender, and I would say, like, I am non-binary, that's what I identify personally as, but I'll never get offended if somebody is talking to me or about me and they use she or they use him or they use they, whatever, as
Will
long as
you be
it's not.
using the non-binary as like a tagline for your YouTube channel, or is that gonna come into play with the YouTube channel? Are you gonna be known as like non-binary YouTuber Eli? Like, or is that not your goal? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, okay, because
I'm
some
always
people will play that angle
Yeah, I know that it's like it could be a good hook or whatever, it could be something that could make my channel stand out, but it's not really. It's kind of just like I'm a person, I exist, that's
for
why I
sure.
identify as non-binary,
That's
it's
why I
not
think
something that.
yeah, I think that's why I get along, and I'm like, I feel your vibes, and I'm like, "Man, she's got some cool vibe." They got some cool vibes, see? I'm working on it, I'm working on it. But, like, you just mentioned, you're like, "I'm Eli." Tell us, who is Eli? How old is Eli? Where does Eli live? What is Eli's goals? Where do you see Eli in the next 2 years?
So I'm 23 right now. I live in the Midwest, I'll keep it at that,
Fair
because
enough,
I have
fair enough.
fun fact.
Yeah, I would like to hear yeah. It seems like
This
people
is
are so worried about doxing, and it's like, I wanna hear it because I mean, I've never had this threatened to me, and it's like, people get serious with it.
They do. I have some very interesting takes on that as well, but, I don't know. I don't know how to describe myself really. I don't know, I like crocheting, I like pastel colors, which is kind of apparent by how I look. I kinda like bright things and things that are, like, very calm, and I just kinda like to exist and vibe and just kinda hang out,
For sure.
and I'm very passionate about, like, art and crocheting and just any form of, like, expression really, like, gets me.
That's awesome. You seem very, like you're into the arts and an expression of yourself, and that's so cool to see. Now, we just touched on doxing. You said you had an interesting story to share on doxing. You've been following the community for a while. You've seen the scum, and I don't mean to be so blunt with it, but there are some scummy people in this community. What would you have to say about the whole doxing thing in the commentary community?
I think that doxing is something that it shouldn't happen, and it shouldn't be something that, like, I feel like everybody, when they make friends in this community, are afraid to get doxed or afraid to have their personal information leaked because I don't know, there is a lot of, like, I wouldn't say snakiness, but there's a lot of built up tension between a lot of people.
True.
So when you're connections and you're first kinda hanging out, a lot of people are scared of it, which is valid. Like, of course, nobody wants, like, where they live, pictures of them, their whole names, like, released on the internet for everybody to see because it could be, like, a danger issue. Personally, when I got doxxed, I got doxxed on Twitter over, like, a Facebook group, which was actually
What?
commented. Yeah, so do you remember the Onision saga?
I do. I do.
So I was an Onision Patreon for a little bit.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I didn't really know anything about what was going on. He followed me on Twitter. We talked a couple of times, and when everything started coming out, I had liked some things on Twitter because I didn't know what was going on. And obviously, every time that something comes up, I'm kind of like keeping my ears open.
Yeah, you
Like I'm
got
like, what is the whole situation here? Because I need everyone's sides. And he didn't really like that.
I'm sure.
And he unfollowed me and he sent me a message about like, yeah, I'm not trying to associate with anybody that's listening or giving any day. And I was like, okay, I mean, fair, but I don't really want to be around this. And there was a Facebook group that was like kind of dedicated to talking about what was going on with Onision and like all of that. And I joined it.
Okay.
And you know what a tag is?
No.
So there's this like little tag groups on Facebook. So when you comment, it'll be like a little tagline and it'll be blue. And it's
Okay.
kind of just like um and I was in a tag group, and when I went to join the Facebook group, I put the tag group because it said, "Where did you find us?" And I put the tag group. And for some reason, they thought it was like a threat instead of a tag group. So it says, "What group did you find us in?" And put it. And so they ended up doxing me.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah,
What
they
did anything
posted.
come from that? Like, did you have calls come in your house, or was
Oh,
it just your
contact.
info was out there?
Yeah, people contacted my family. There was pictures of me posted, pictures of my ex-husband posted. My father-in-law was contacted. And it was very interesting because when I got doxxed, I've reached out and I was like, "Hey, like, what's going on? Like, why is this happening?" And apparently, I found out later that they had a hunch that it was a tag group and still decided to release my
Wow.
information on Twitter. So they're gone now. Their account's been deactivated. Like, it was just a bad situation overall. But like, I didn't get physically hurt, which I'm
That's
I'm
good.
very like,
Absolutely.
heard people message me and, like, I had some, like, personal effects from getting doxxed,
Oh,
so that was a
wow.
little bit.
And it's so cool because you're still here, you still have your channel, you're still making videos. You can't let these bullies win in the end. And I don't mean to sound preachy and I don't mean to seem like that guy, but it's like, don't let anybody stop your shine. And you got this shine about you, Eli. It's really, it's apparent, and your videos speak to me. They really do. I feel like you have this, I don't want to say an old soul, but really it comes off like you have your ish together, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate you giving me the time of day to do this interview. Do you mind if I ask you, who are you following right now in the commentary community?
Well, I'm watching a lot of your content. I was looking into Xylee, but that didn't really work out too well. I used to watch a lot more people. I don't watch as many now.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I'm not super involved in watching a lot of people.
Got burnt
Mainly,
out on it, eh?
yeah, I'm trying to find content that speaks to me more now.
Okay.
Because back I watch everybody. Like I watched Nick, Augie, Bo Blacks, everybody, Tipster. I watched anybody I could watch because there was always something new and something exciting. And
Yeah.
now it's a little harder to find that niche.
Yeah.
Um,
I hear you. I feel you on that. I appreciate that you're still sticking with me though. That's
yeah, I definitely watch you and your content.
that's awesome. And now, you said you are 23 now, correct?
Yep, I'm
And you
23.
mentioned that, privately, I hope you don't mind me mentioning this, but you mentioned that you've already been married and divorced.
Yes.
So what's the story there, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I met my ex-husband like fresh out of high school. Like I was a senior in high school.
Okay.
Um, and I ended up actually graduating early and I moved out the day that I graduated.
Wow.
Yeah. I was working really hard so that I could move out and kind of like start my life and get things set up.
You were
And
eager beaver, ready to go. Just get
I really did. And I got married in 2020 and then I got divorced last year.
Oh, wow. Was it a easy divorce or was it a lot of tears in that divorce?
I mean, it was definitely hard because I think anytime that anybody gets divorced, it's kind of gut wrenching, but also it was good and it was very, I forgot what the word it is, but it was like very civil and reciprocative. Is that the right word? So we both like, were like, okay, here's what I'm going to have, here's what you're going to have. And there wasn't really a lot of fighting about anything. It was very calm as far as divorces go, and it was over relatively quick as far as divorces go.
That's awesome. So now it's basically you're getting back to you, you're getting back to your roots. You're picking
Mhm.
up, you're in the commentary community officially now with your videos. You already have your first video in the books, as they say. Second video, do you mind talking a little bit about what we can expect from it, or are you keeping it, under wraps?
So my next video is actually going to be about a streamer named Aiko Rules.
Oh wow, you're going there, eh?
I am going there, and it should be out by Wednesday.
Wow, by
Um,
Wednesday. This will definitely be out before then. So I make sure you guys check it. I will make sure I link it down below. You guys are gonna have to check this out because honestly, if Valid's talking about Aiko, I can only imagine what the topics are gonna be on that video. Do you know what the run? Do you have like any idea of what kind of like what runtime you're aiming for with that video? Like,
it's probably gonna be 5 to 10 minutes long because
and
I'm
it's amazing
trying
how
to.
much info you get in that, fight. You're like, I'm so amazed with your scripting. It's so good. Your writing, oh man, I'm so jealous. It's so good, so good.
I appreciate that. Well, the first video, I think I spent a week and a half on, like,
Hmm.
just everything together, getting clips, getting the scripting done. I had never, like, tried to record something and put it onto my computer before, so
Yeah.
that was a process in and of
Okay.
itself.
So you're learning as you're going along here. So I mean, it's so cool to see, somebody that's been on the viewing side of this to now making the content and seeing all that goes involved with it. It's cool. I just love this point where we're at right now in our YouTube journeys. It's because you're meeting some cool people. You're getting to hear some cool stories. You're getting some cool tips and tricks. Have you had any people try to discourage you from making YouTube videos, or has everybody been supportive of this?
I don't think anyone has, like, directly tried to discourage me or anything. I haven't gotten any hate on my last video, which, I mean, I'm sure it's coming eventually. Fingers crossed that it stays off as long as it can. But, no, everyone that I've talked to about it has been really supportive.
That's
I
awesome.
have, like, close-knit group of friends here that I can be like, "Hey, what do you think of, like, this that I'm crocheting or this?" So I'm trying to come up with new and, like, interesting things to crochet.
Now back
'Cause
on the crochet, how long have you been crocheting for?
less than a year, actually.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Came a long way. What got you into crocheting?
So my grandmother crocheted a lot. She crocheted me like a baby Afghan when I was born. I still have it to this day. I actually tried to crochet, I think a few years ago, could not figure it out. Like, I was tragic. I was making a bunch of holes, nothing was working. I was like, I'm never touching this again. Never. And then I thought, you know what? I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna pick it up. I bought one little because now I have like all sorts of crochet hooks, but I bought like one of the little standard dinky ones and I bought a thing of yarn in Walmart. I'm gonna do this. And I
For
just
sure.
sat down, I did it, I did it, and I did it until it finally like clicked. And now I'm making all sorts of things.
Yeah, that's so cool. I find that so awesome. And the fact that you're including that with the commentary, really think you have something with that, Eli. Everybody, please check out Eli's channel. It's Valid Creations on YouTube. The link will be in the description below. Leave a comment for Eli and tell her you love crocheting and you subscribe to her channel. I'm sure they'd get a kick out of that. Gotta correct myself every time, guys. I'm
So
working on it. I'm working on it. We'll get there eventually, Eli. I promise you, we'll get there. Hard head over here, hard head.
it
But with all that being said, I think we covered a lot here. I think we touched on you in the community, how you got involved, where you're going. Do you have anything you want, the viewers to know?
I really appreciate like all of the love that I got on my last video that was about you, and I really appreciated your video reviewing mine. It was very
It's the
sur
meta, isn't it?
it was very surreal to me because, I mean, I had reached out to you
Yeah, that was
prior to
odd. I was so maybe we should tell that story.
at least you know, like, I'm a real person now and
Yeah,
not
I
like a
wasn't sure
bot
for the
that you
longest.
called it.
Yeah, I thought you were like a plant, like, and then you were like, "No, no gay ops here," and I'm like, "What are gay ops?" Like, I'm like, so yeah, I'm saying stuff and you're saying stuff, and neither of us know what we're talking about.
Yeah, well, because I know there's a lot of things like that in this community where people will reach out and they kind of be like,
Yeah,
"Gotcha,"
yeah, and
and I
that's what
know
I
it's
thought it was. Yeah, but then I was like, "Can I check out your YouTube channel?" And you handed me a channel with no views or no videos, so I was like, "She's making a video on me, but there's no videos." I was like,
yeah,
uh,
videos.
So I was like, all right, we'll just do an interview. I'm always that way, and I was floored when the video came out because like it was just so. I know I keep saying it, but guys, check out that video. Like I said, linked in the description. Valid does some amazing work, and to find out she's doing that work without Adobe Premiere or anything, very impressive, y'all. It's very impressive.
I
Eli's got
appreciate
something going here, man. They got something going. Gotta get it going. I'm trying. I'm trying. I told you that when before we started recording, I was like, I'm gonna butcher this. I'm gonna and I I'm trying.
fine.
You know,
I just don't take offense or anything.
For sure,
You're
because like,
great.
you get those people in the community that take offense for you. And it's like, so then I got
Yeah.
those people to worry about. And it's like I'm trying to duck and dodge everything as it comes, and it's just it comes with the territory. When I first started, like I would get a one bad comment and it would like put me on my ass for like a week. Like it was so bad. And I think that's why that Xylee thing really hit me so hard. It's like a stronger man probably, but it really kind of broke me down inside, and I had to act like tough I had to put that tough face on and act like it didn't get to me, but it really got to me on that one. But so that video you'd made really made me feel like I wasn't alone. It made me feel like somebody else had my back on that, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Me and my friends were all pretty much in agreement that what happened wasn't okay, and it was kind of meant to break you down. It
Yeah.
seemed like at least like our perspective because you kind of came in like, "Hey, everybody," and then all of a sudden, like everything you said, they were laughing at and pointing out and picking at,
Yeah.
and so of course that hurt. Like I probably wouldn't be great with that either.
And
Um,
when it makes you question if you wanna do what you love, that's what got to me. It really had me questioning, like, I love making videos, I love being able to express myself. It's my form of art, and so when you hear that and it comes at you, you're like, "Man, do I wanna welcome this into my life?" But then I had to remember there's people like you in this world, Eli, that make it so much better than the people. I guess Xylee, it got back to her that she heard that I called her a bitch or something, and she was like gloating about it on her stream, like, this person knows, and I wear it like a badge of honor. And it's like, okay, wear it like a badge of honor. I'm gonna wear the opposite as a badge of honor, and I guarantee you my friends will be a lot more loyal than your friends, and you'll be playing these snaky games and toiling in your little world for as long as you can. And hopefully me and my friends like Valid Creations will be taking, the rocket ship to the moon, and our views will reflect that. That's all, and real recognizes real. And I think the viewers recognize that your videos are amazing. And, I think they see something in my videos, and that's why, we're seeing growth. And of course, I
definitely.
think that's going to scare the old guard, and if anything, that's what it is, in my opinion. And they should be afraid because we're coming, we're coming out swinging with our content, y'all. We're coming out swinging.
You're
Um,
coming in hot. Like,
got
you have
to.
a great little, like I think I mentioned in my video, you have, like, a little niche, which I don't know if it's a niche, but, like, the way that you kind of come across at things, especially certain topics where, like, you're very understanding about things, and I think that that's why I'm kinda gravitated towards your content too,
I
is
try to
because
be.
yeah, a lot of people in this community, like, they would see the thing that Xylee did to you, and they'd be like, "Oh, well, Millhouse is the we're not gonna give him a chance."
Yeah,
But even Xylee, considering how horrible she's been to you, like, if she were to actually fix what she was doing and reform and apologize, and if people were able to grow from it, then I think that they should be given a second chance, and I think that that's something that's not really afforded here, and I've noticed that in a lot of your content, you're big on second chances and you're big on
absolutely.
growth,
Because without him,
and
I
I
would be nothing. If someone hadn't given me a second chance, a third chance, there wouldn't be Dave here today. So it's because of that. It's like you got to get to the bottom to realize, like, man, hey, I don't want this, And so I think I've been there, and I want to get out of that. So it's like
yeah.
this behavior and these actions, acting like that got me where I am. So it's like, let's try something different. So that's why I think I'm so open and receptive to change and doing the right thing for the right reasons. Like it's like whenever something, comes to me, it's like I used to think, what's in this for me? And it's like now it's like, how can I help somebody? And I know maybe that's corny, but that's just
Oh,
but it's been working for me, and like I'm not depressed. I'm not as depressed as I was. I don't have as many bad days as I used to have. And yeah,
amazing, honestly. That's something great I think about YouTube, and that's what I do crocheting for, is it gets me out of the slump, it gets me out of the, like, depression,
yeah.
and I think YouTube is a great outlet for that. Because even though, like, commentary can be intense, like, the act of editing and making videos is actually very therapeutic.
It totally is. It totally is. Especially when you were like, I am gonna get so much pleasure out of editing this interview because we're actually. It feels like two people talking to one another and getting to know each other. Like when I did that interview with Demented, it's like that was my first time speaking to him. It was rush, rush, rush. I felt like I only had him for a certain amount of time, and we really couldn't even begin to scratch the surface. Where it's like you're willing to have a serious conversation, and I asked you, is anything off the table before we record this? You were like, I'm an open book. And I think with that attitude, you're only gonna grow. And guys, that brings us to the end here. I think you guys all need to check out Valid Creations on YouTube. Send them some love. And I just want to thank you one more time. Again, thank you so much, Eli. You are a true inspiration, and I truly am by your side. If you ever need anything, I'm here for you.
Thank you so much, and thank you again for inviting me to do an interview. This is a really cool, like, little opportunity, you know?
For sure.
You know,
For
a lot of
sure.
reached out to interviews this week, and
No,
I'm
for
just really
sure. Well, I hope it helps your channel a little bit.
no, definitely. Thank you so much.